Have you ever been put on an elimination diet? In today's video, I'm going to walk you through why elimination diets can be so harmful to your thyroid function and what to do instead if you're feeling like there's foods that may be impacting your gut that are causing inflammation that you can't quite pin down. The first thing to know is that elimination diets are utilized as a clinical tool for a very short period of time to be able to help alleviate symptoms until the root causes of the health issue have been addressed. Unfortunately, many people are not told that when they are placed on an elimination diet, and many people are put on one for what should be an acute period of time, and that turns into a chronic period of time because those root causes were never addressed, and so they were never able to re-implement those food sources back into their diet. So one way that elimination diets can be harmful to your thyroid is because of the restriction of different types of plant sources. Elimination diets do just that. They eliminate specific food sources from hopefully causing inflammation and GI symptoms. However, with this, many common plant foods are eliminated. If you think of something like the FODMAP diet, which is commonly prescribed for IBS, you are eliminating things that contain dairy, you're eliminating gluten, you're eliminating asparagus and avocado and garlic and onions and beans. The list goes on. And so many of those foods are important to fueling the bacteria that are within our microbiome of our gut. That's actually where our body makes those deiodinase enzymes that help our body make the active T3, your active thyroid hormone that we so care and love. So if we're not consuming enough of these prebiotics, we call them, which are these different plant food sources, then we don't have enough fuel to actually feed those bacteria that are responsible for helping us convert that T4 over to T3. So we want to ensure that if you do need to go on an elimination diet for a short period of time, that one, it stays short and that you're working on addressing those root causes alongside of it. And that two, we're still aiming to try to get in as many of those plant food sources that you are able to eat and as much variety as possible, because that variety is what really creates the most robust gut microbiome. The second way that elimination diets can impact the thyroid is because they typically involve some type of restriction of a carbohydrate food source. Now, carbohydrates can be problematic. There are certain ones that we really want to be cautious with, and there's a certain threshold of what we should be consuming. However, if your carbohydrate threshold goes too low, this can actually impact that T4 to T3 conversion. Carbohydrates help with that conversion. They also help blunt the stress hormone response, that cortisol hormone that helps be able to regulate our thyroid function. When cortisol is chronically elevated, we see deactivation of T4 over to T3, which means that our thyroid function is slowing down. So ensuring that we have enough carbohydrates in the picture to be able to help support this conversion of T4 over to T3 and ensure that we're not deactivating those thyroid hormones is critical. In addition to this, the third reason that elimination diets can be harmful to your thyroid is that they typically are going to remove a lot of food sources. And in the process of doing this, it may feel like your food library is so limited that you end up under eating unintentionally. And caloric restriction is one of the worst things that you can do for your active thyroid function. When our body's in a state of caloric restriction, our body senses that there's not enough energy on board for all processes. And so our body just slows down our thyroid function and slows down metabolism to accommodate. Our body then pushes that energy over towards more important resources like our organ systems, such as our brain, our heart, our lungs, our kidneys, and takes that energy away from our endocrine system where hormones are made. And that can then result in reproductive hormone imbalances as well as thyroid imbalances. This is typically why we see that when individuals have been in a chronic low caloric state, that they see irregular cycles, infertility, or in men, we can even see what's called hypogonadism, which oftentimes takes a little bit longer to occur and can also lead to things like bone loss. Bone loss can happen both in men and women when you are in a low caloric state for an extended period of time. Our body is always trying to create the most efficient machine possible and always trying to protect us. So this is a protective tool that the body does. And unfortunately, there's no way around mitigating this thyroid hormone impact that can happen when you are in a chronic caloric state of restriction. So if you do need to go on an elimination diet for whatever health reason that you're working on, we want to make sure that 3 things are in place. Like I mentioned earlier, that you have enough fibers and fiber diversity to be able to keep at least most of your gut microbes in place. Maybe also looking at utilizing some probiotic supplementation if that seems fit for your unique health picture. Secondly, making sure that the carbohydrates that you are able to consume are in the mix so that we can still help support that T4 to T3 conversion. If you're not able to consume very many carbohydrates, then instead you might look at actually going more into strict ketosis, because in ketosis, although thyroid hormone function drops, our body is actually utilizing those thyroid hormones more effectively. So it might be a safer option to go into more of a fat-fueled state during that period of time that you are having to eliminate many of those carbohydrate sources. The third thing to look at is making sure that if you are on an elimination diet, that you're still meeting your energy needs every day. Maybe this is working with a registered dietitian who can help you understand what your energy needs look like and how that should be mapped out throughout the day so that you can make sure that you're not getting into a position where you are in chronic caloric restriction, which is then going to suppress your thyroid function longer. Now, in addition to those 3 things, the number one thing that I see in clients that come to us after being on an elimination diet is that the longer that they've eliminated those foods, the harder it is for them to reincorporate them. So you want to make sure that if someone has put you on an elimination diet, that there's a plan. There's a long-term plan for what's going to happen next. If you were on the elimination diet for a short period of time while you're working on addressing microbial overgrowth and dysbiosis in the gut, or working to get rid of fungus or mycotoxins in the body, then that may make sense as long as those things are being addressed and you are seeing improvements there, with the long-term goal to actually be able to reintroduce these food sources once those root causes have been addressed. But if there is no long-term plan for what's going to happen after that elimination diet, then I highly don't recommend actually starting on the elimination diet, because it's going to make it even harder for you to be able to eat those foods once you do try to reintroduce them if you haven't been able to address the root causes of what's driving the symptoms. Remember that it's not food that's the problem, it's the environment that you're putting the food into. So if you're noticing that you're dealing with a large amount of food sensitivities, or you've done a food sensitivity panel and many foods have come back flagged, it's not because you truly have food sensitivities to that many foods, it's because there's inflammation within the gut lining as well as within the immune system. The immune system is in an overactive state, so when you're eating those foods, it's causing this inflammatory response and it's causing these sensitivities. Food sensitivities are a real thing, and you can actually be experiencing food sensitivities, but it's not because of the food itself. It's because there's something that needs to be addressed within the gut and the immune system. And that's really what we work on in our 101 program, is identifying what those root causes are for individuals that are dealing with things like food sensitivities, and helping them be able to address those root causes so that ultimately you can reintroduce those foods back in without any problems. It's giving you that peace of mind so that what you eat doesn't take up as much mental real estate, and you can work on fueling your body to the best of your abilities while also having some freedom from time to time with what foods you're eating. I hope this video provides valuable insight for you. And if you love this video and you want to learn more about the subject of fueling your thyroid, be sure to hit the bell to subscribe to my channel so you'll be the first to know when I release a new video. And if you're ready to take action on actually supporting the foundations of fueling your thyroid function, be sure to check out my course, Functional Thyroid Foundations, where I walk you through exactly a nutrition plan to support your thyroid function and the supplements as well as the nutritional strategies that are going to help you improve your thyroid function naturally.